Alrighty, so welcome again, everyone, to our flat belly lifestyle. Tonight, we are pleased and excited to have our CEO. See, this woman is not just a CEO, but she is a health advocate. She's had her own health challenges, and through that, she's done research, decades of research, making her one of the most cutting edge nutrition experts out there. She's the author of the Proverbs Diet, actually, and has now brought on one of our fast new friends, Dr. Eric Prince, in talking about how we can turn all of the wonderful challenges that we've had into plant-based. This woman is an author, a co-author, a mom, a glam mom. She has a wonderful, well-rounded business life balance. She's literally the hardest working CEO you'll ever meet. And yet, she cares about us so much that she wanted to create a program that's going to help us reverse aging. And without any further ado, I want to bring on the CEO of Wakana, Melissa Boston.
Wow, Kathy, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. I know just for the sake of making sure I have a stable internet, we're going to keep off the camera at the moment. One moment, let's share the screen though. Let's see. Good evening, everyone. Kathy, first of all, wow, what an introduction. You know, I really appreciate you. Kathy is absolutely just not only a superstar in our industry, but a superstar within Wakanda. I mean, she has hit Ruby. She's on her way to Diamond. She is the Ruby and Emerald maker here at Wakanda, just breaking all the records. We just love you so much. Thank you for that gracious introduction. And again, I'm just super excited. I am fired up tonight to share with you the Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. And again, for those of you in Chicago, if you are a part of our Weed Cafe, please make sure you join that webinar because they're actually training on that right now. So we are multitasking here in Chicago. But super excited because Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0 has officially launched. And this is where we're taking it to the next level. I need everyone to give some energy on this call tonight. So can you join me in saying next level? In fact, you can just type it in the chat. Don't even have to. Level. There you go, girl. Tell them out loud.
Level. Next level.
Yes. Okay.
Next level.
Indeed, right? That's what I'm talking about, guys. This is exciting. As Kathy said, this is cutting edge. And yeah, I got my initial start in health and wellness, you know, going vegan. In fact, I became a certified vegan chef, you know, wrote a book called Proverbs Diet. And I was really, you know, embracing that lifestyle. I always joke and say, hey, I married a meat eater, okay? He's a type O blood, right? And so guess what? I kind of got off my vegan path, okay? But I am back and I'm excited because you're gonna learn today why some blood types naturally gravitate towards being a vegan between being vegetarian. You're gonna learn why it's gonna be critical for your health and why a plant-based for your blood type might just save your life, okay? And so let's go ahead and dive in. In fact, we're gonna cover A's tonight. Last week we did go over the O's and the B's. In fact, they say the AB might be Mother Nature saving the best for last, and we'll do AB on our next webinar. But tonight we will touch just a little bit on the O's as well, because I want to do a comparison. I want to really kind of show you the dramatic differences between blood types and why so many families suffer from often these generational curses because we don't even realize what we're eating might not be for our biochemistry. And so here's a question. What are the two things that everyone in the world is consumed with multiple times a day? Doesn't have to take too long to think about that, right? I mean, what you're probably thinking about it right now. I know for me, I haven't eaten all day, okay? So I cannot wait to go get me some dinner as soon as we get off here. But we're thinking about what we eat and what we drink. So we call that hunger and thirst. In fact, when we think about food, food dominates our thoughts. Oftentimes from the time we wake up in the morning until the time we go to bed, we're thinking about eating, we're thinking about drinking. We wake up hungry, okay? But it's the story of our survival. Even when you think about our taste buds are hardwired, right? creatively designed by our creator to ensure our survival. So we were able to recognize certain types of different senses and things that would warn us, right? So that we wouldn't have something poisonous. And so just know that food is absolutely the story of our survival. In the United States, we are spending $2 trillion, $2 trillion on what we're eating, drinking, and supplements. But then look at what we turn around and spend on our health care. In fact, we often call it our sick care because we're not getting healthy here, right? $2.5 trillion is what we're spending on healthcare. And if you really compare us to other countries where they're actually spending more money on food because they're getting higher quality food, they actually end up saving more overall because they have less healthcare expenses. And so if you truly want to save money, guess what you need to do? You want to adapt a healthier lifestyle because it's going to give you shorter expenses for healthcare in the long run. And let's look at the big four. These are the big four here in the United States, but in millions. Okay, when we think about heart disease, it's impacting over 75 million, in fact, 80 million people here in the United States. Cancer, impacting right now about 17 million. Diabetes, right? Obesity, you can compare. But what oftentimes is just so alarming is when you look at heart disease and cancer, more people are suffering from heart disease. But why is it almost the same amount of people are dying from heart disease versus cancer? I mean, it's almost identical. And so that's a disease that we definitely want to avoid, but we really want to avoid all these chronic diseases because many of these are preventable. Okay, we're going to talk about that. In fact, belly fat increases our risk factors for virtually every disease. In fact, even dementia and Alzheimer's is greatly impacted by our belly fat. And when we think about women in the United States, we think about how breast cancer is really impacting us. In fact, as minority women, we're impacted even more profoundly than other races. In fact, if we compare us to women in Kenya, do you know that we're 20 times more likely than women in Kenya to develop breast cancer? When we think about pain and inflammation, so many people also are suffering from pain on a regular basis, 9 out of 10. In fact, the United States ranks 37th in average life expectancy. I want you to think about that for a moment. We're considered, one of the healthiest, we're considered one of the richest countries in the world. But why is it that we are not living longer than people in third world countries? Well, how is it that some of them are actually living much longer than people here in the United States? We're going to get into that because we know that foods that heal, equal low profit margins. And so that's not what big businesses are consumed with. They're not trying to get us on healthy foods because that doesn't provide for their bottom line. If you look at the foods that are killing us, if you look at the foods that are having the most devastating effects on our health, they have the highest profit margins and the longest shelf lives. They make for good business and poor health. So we've got to pay attention. So we've looked at the problem. Are we ready for the solution, right? I mean, oftentimes people bring you the problem, but the question is, what is the solution, right? What can I do to live a healthier life? And so let's look at a few solutions. Originally, we launched our Flat Belly ebook. And with that, we actually wanted to really make something that was duplicatable. We wanted to make something that was sustainable. And so we wanted to focus on what are some of the most dangerous parts of our diet. We know that fried foods, right? We know that trans fats, those are things that are lethal. Our chemistry just doesn't respond well to fast foods. And so we really focus on getting rid of those dangerous lectins, because we know they cause inflammation in the body, contribute to heart disease and cancer. We got rid of those nightshades, okay? Those nightshade pseudo vegetables, and we focused on our gut health. And so that was our original Flat Belly ebook. And the results were absolutely amazing. I mean, when you think about how many people were impacted, I mean, we had so many people submit their before and afters. In fact, this lady over the course of 2 challenges lost about 47 pounds, which was exciting. In fact, we had Gia Bankhead over 15 pounds, Mary Graham, I mean, she lost over 15 pounds. But look at her dramatic, reduction in belly fat. In fact, she's entered the new challenge as well. And so with this, we wanted to take it to that next level and really identify, what is that diet that not only will help you lose weight, but really can help you dramatically take your health to that next level. And so let's kind of look at some concepts tonight, because oftentimes we all know someone who just seemed like they were doing everything right. You know, they were eating healthy, they were exercising, but unfortunately they still died prematurely, oftentimes from one of those preventable diseases. See, in order for you to increase health and vitality, we have to understand the role of our emotions, our blood type, exercise, and our diet. We have to look at our emotions, and we have a coach who's an expert in emotional trauma and how oftentimes this trauma actually contributes to the progression of our heart disease. It can accelerate cancer. Just by changing your thoughts from negative to happy can absolutely have a dramatic impact on your health. And so we have a coach that's going to help us with that as well. And then we think about the need for exercise, the need for calming the body, calming our brain, okay? And that's where meditation comes in, and also understanding which types of exercises work better for your blood type, because based on your blood type, you're going to need to know exactly what you respond better and what helps to give you longevity. Because if you're doing the wrong type of workouts, you could be stressing your body out and not even getting the maximum benefit from your workout plan. And then when we think about blood type, for many of you on the line right now, this might be the first time you're hearing a revolutionary concept like blood type. What does blood type have to do with it? The only time they actually even test your blood type is when a mother gives birth, right? They have to make sure that maybe there's not a situation where there's something incompatible. If you have two blood types that are incompatible, that can cause issues, right? And so they want to look at that in case there's something needed, you know, beyond the norm, okay? They want to be prepared. So they test that blood type of the mom, of the infant. And guess what happens? After that, they never tell us anything further about our blood type. We go back to the doctor with numerous issues, and they never bring up the question of blood type. And so tonight, the revolutionary concept that we're going to talk about is plant-based for your blood type. In fact, understanding these factors hold the key to your survival and to the survival of your children and to the survival of their children, you know, to the survival of your friends, your family. And so you want to pay attention. You want to know exactly what you need to do. Our body, this is the good news. See, our body is the most brilliant and magnificent machine we will ever own. Not only do we have an unlimited capacity for healing, but we all have this internal doctor that goes to work spending 24 hours a day trying to keep us healthy and alive. And so we've got to help out that internal doctor so that we don't have to have that doctor work so hard that they just get tired. In fact, when we eat and when we drink, your body's going to determine whether those substances are friends or foe. I want you to think about that for a second. The next time you put something in your mouth, ask yourself, is this a friend? Is this something that's going to help my body? Because understand that one man's food could be another man's poison. I want you to hear me loud and clear. See, you could be someone like myself. I'm a type A blood. My son's a type O and my mom's a type O. How did that impact me? Well, as a child, I was eating a meat-based diet. By the time I was 19, I found myself in a position where I had a 50% chance of living or dying. I was in the emergency room getting surgery, and it all was related to my small intestines, my large intestines. I had an appendicitis that went undiagnosed, but what that means is there's toxins brewing in the small and large intestines, right? And so understand that that diet will, while it worked okay for her, it just didn't work for me. And then here I am, a type A, giving birth to a type O, and guess what? We have opposite needs when it comes to diets. And sometimes families are just eating the exact same diet, not understanding how it's impacting the disease progression. And so we're going to jump into that tonight so that you can really understand and have clarity once and for all. We're going to look at blood types and how it impacts your diet. And so there's 4 different types of blood types. You have your A, and it could be positive or negative. You have your B, and it can be positive or negative, O positive and negative. And then you have your AB, and that's nature's way of saving the best for last, is what they say, because that actually evolved, after the type B blood types. And when it comes to diets, whether you're A positive or A negative, it's really the same diet. Sometimes if you study this long enough, you're going to learn that there's something called secretors and non-secretors. Well, in the new evolution of the blood type, they've actually gotten rid of that, right? Because it just makes it too hard to follow. And so we're going to focus on type A, type B, type O, and AB. And tonight specifically, we're going to get into the A's and the O's, okay? And so let's look at the strengths first, because it's always good to start with the good news, okay? Because I know we have some type A's that are on the line. In fact, if you know your blood type, okay, I want you to go ahead and hit in the chat, okay? Just let us know what your blood type is. Are you a B? Are you an O? Are you an AB? We want to see who's out there and what are the different blood types we have on this Zoom tonight. If you don't know your blood type, don't worry, you're not alone. Do you know that most people do not know their blood type, okay? And that could actually cause a lot of issues when it comes to the foods that you're eating. And so the good news for the A's is you are adaptive to change, right? You actually have the ability to metabolize nutrients. You're organized, sensitive to the needs of others, good listeners, detailed-oriented, analytical, domestic, creative, and inventive. So now you can think, okay, that's great. So show me the bad news, right? Because with every blood type, there's something that you need to pay attention to. And we're going to jump into it for the type A's. The first issue with type A is we have very low stomach acids, right? And when you think about the type A, it actually represents the agrarian society, right? When you think about how people migrated with O's, it was the original ancient blood. We call that the hunters and gatherers. They had the high stomach acid so it can break down the meat. And as A's started, the bloodline started migrating, then a new bloodline evolved, which was the type A's. And they were planting what? Grains. So grains worked very well for their biochemistry and meat didn't, okay? But the lack of those stomach acids, if you're eating a diet high in animal protein, can lead to stomach cancer and other digestive issues. So let's look at some more weaknesses. Prone to anxiety, weak digestion, reduced immunity, congestion, mucus, OCD, negative emotion, lack of sleep, and weather sensitivity. So if you're a type A, and if you can identify with any of what I just shared, well, guess what? Your life is about to change. In fact, next week, we're going to talk about AB. In fact, this week, we're going to compare the A versus the O diet so that you can really see what I'm talking about as it relates to your family. Hopefully, you've purchased your Eldon blood typing kit. We're super excited because we just formed a little partnership, right, where we're going to have these available on your website at a discounted price, right? So you're going to be able to get your own blood type as a part of your packages. How cool is that? But right now you can go to Walmart. They have them for $10.95 at Walmart. And on Amazon, I believe it's still $24 for 3 of them. So that's like $8 for one of these blood type kits that can change your life. You're going to need one for each person. So if you have a big family, you want to order multiple of these blood type kits. And so now let's look at what happens, right? What happens when you eat food? See, when you consume food, a chemical reaction occurs between the food and your blood. Food contains a type of protein called lectins, right? And do you know that these proteins can actually impact your blood in a positive or negative way, okay? Here's the danger of incompatible lectins. And again, we've already talked to you about lectins, and hopefully now you're starting to understand why we put so much attention on lectins. See, lectins are the anti-nutrients, right? Those are the little bombs inside of certain foods designed to protect the seeds of the future generations of those plants. And so with everything that has life, it's meant to do what? Give birth to new generations. And so we eat sometimes certain pseudo vegetables that have these little soft seeds, and not just the vegetables. It's also found in beans. In fact, lectins are in most food. But the good news is some of them are beneficial for your blood, and some of them are very lethal. And so in our first program, we removed the most lethal ones, okay? And so when you eat a food containing these, do you know that if it's incompatible with your blood type, antigen, the lectins target an organ or bodily system. So they start going after your kidneys, your liver, your brain, your stomach. And do you know that it actually can wreak so much havoc on your body? And some people get it in different areas. That's why some people have issues with diabetes from eating too much meat. Some people end up with stomach cancer, right? So there's so many different ways we manifest the disease. In fact, these are foreign invaders to the body. When there's something the body's not recognizing, these lectins settle and they clump together. Once this happens, the immune system targets them as if they were foreign invaders, okay? In fact, lectins can actually be measured in your body. There's actually a scale that can measure the amount of lectins. And again, not all of them are harmful. So you want to know those that are friends and those that are foe. But here's what happens. When we continue to eat a diet that's incompatible with our blood, it creates violent levels of inflammation. That can be rheumatoid arthritis. It could be irritable bowel syndrome. It could be cirrhosis of the liver. It can block the flow of blood through the kidneys. Think about the epidemic of diabetes. In fact, Eric Prince last week talked about why we have such an epidemic in our community. You know, they put all these restaurants with not only fried food, but all this animal protein. Is filled with not only antibiotics, all these toxins, but in the animal protein, right? And so what happens is once they realize that, wow, you know, as African Americans and minorities, we were consuming all this meat, they knew they're going to need to do what? Get the dialysis centers ready for us. And so if you look at most cities now, especially in urban areas, there are dialysis centers everywhere because they understand what's about to happen in the next 10 years. In fact, they're telling us that 1 out of 2 children, if they're Hispanic or Black, will be diabetic in their lifetime if they're born after the year 2000. But we can reverse that. Once we know better, we can do better. And we're going to teach you tonight how to do better. Because if you find out that you're a type A blood type, we have a list that you should avoid. Now, this is not the complete list, okay? Because if we did the complete list, you might just jump off the line, right? But no, we wanted to give you some of the foods that you have to avoid. And then for the comprehensive list, there's ways that you can actually download that. But what we wanted to do is actually focus our ebook on the positive. And so we have a neutral list that really works for every blood type. The ones that don't work, we just tell you to avoid that. And so let's go ahead and look at some of the foods that you should be avoiding. We're going to first start with animal protein, because we know that this typically is a type A blood person's downfall. So you can be living a life of vitality, eating your plants and having so much harmony. And then you hear about these fad diets, whether it's the ketosis or whether it's the keto diet or the paleo diet, and you start going and eating meat, okay? Getting rid of the carbs, you know, and now you're eating lots of vegetables, right? But then you're eating lots of meat. And then you wonder, why is it that you seem to be still maintaining the same weight, but your health seems to be getting worse and worse? Well, these are just a sample of some of the foods that you should be avoiding. And some of them are like crab, you know, shrimp, lobster, okay? I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just amazing. And when you think about the actual animal meat, bacon and pork, all blood types should avoid. But with type A's, you should avoid beef. You should even avoid lamb, okay? And so this is a list of all the seafood and meat that you should avoid as a type A blood. And type O, just to kind of compare. So if you're a type O, even though we know that animal meat in general, right, still eventually leads to what? Heart disease and cancer. We just know type O's handle it much better. So when they eat a high protein diet with low carbs, their body thrives. And so there's a short list of meat that type O's have to avoid. I mean, look, compare that. So you can understand why a parent and a child, opposite blood types, could be experiencing so many dramatic issues because we just don't know what we don't know, okay? And so now let's look at something else that I found very, very interesting. Let's look at some of the grains, because then when you flip the script on the grains, type O's really don't thrive on grains. They don't thrive on the wheat products, right? They really should avoid a lot of those. And so for a type O blood to live their best life, they're gonna have to really reduce a lot of these grains. And so if you are someone who loves your carbs, well, guess what? You got to give them up if you're going to go to that next level if you're type O. And so let's just take a quick look at some of the grains that a type O should avoid. So you can see there that that's a nice size list, whether it's corn, popcorn, okay? So if you love popcorn, even your wheat flour, your white flour, your wheat that's whole. So really most of the wheat products you really should be avoiding. And here's some of the nuts that you should avoid. Like if you're type A, I believe there's only 3 nuts on the type A's list to avoid. One is Brazil nuts, cashews, and I believe pistachios, okay? But with the type O, there's even more nuts to avoid because these have lectins that your blood type just doesn't like, okay? So pay attention to that. So let's now look at the reverse. Let's look at a type A, okay? A type A actually has a very small list of grains they should avoid. Teff, wheat bran, wheat bread is okay, but not wheat bran or crude, and then wheat germ. And then when it comes to nuts, as I said earlier, the Brazil nuts, the cashews, and the pistachios. So again, as you're painting this picture with me, you're realizing, wow, this is why so many moms and kids, try to help their kids or the reverse and don't seem to know what to do. And in the process, everybody seems to lose their health, right? And here's the other part that blew my mind. There's something known as the plant paradox, because even sometimes the healthy foods can cause issues. And so let's just look real quick at a preview of some of the so-called healthy foods that in a type A blood could actually cause issues. Now, here's the good news. If you're type A, you can eat more variety of vegetables than any other blood type, right? Your fruit list is so long. So there's very little that you can't eat when it comes to your fruits and vegetables, but there are some. So let's take a look at it. Cabbage. Now you can drink carrot juice. So carrot juice is very beneficial for a type A blood. So I drink my carrot juice, but I never liked carrots anyway. So I never even liked carrots as a child. But carrot juice, I've learned to love that as an adult. Capers and eggplant. Your not only your white potatoes, but even your sweet potatoes, your sauerkraut, your tomatoes, okay? Your bitter melon, your banana. So yes, if you're type A, you love bananas, guess what? The lectins don't love you, okay? So just pay attention. Orange juice. I know for me as a kid, I guzzled down orange juice, right? Pineapples, you can have them, but avoid the juice, okay? So with pineapples, you can have the pineapples, but avoid the juice, okay? Papayas is something to avoid, in plantains. So that just gives you just a little snapshot of the foods you should avoid. The only one on there that you can actually have is actually pineapples, but just don't take the pineapple juice, okay? Hopefully I made that clear. And so we want to live the best life possible, right? Everybody on this line, I know we want to live the best life possible. In fact, let's go ahead and say that in the chat. Let's put that to the universe. Let's let everybody know, yes, we want to live the best life possible. Sometimes when you just say something, right, whether you even believe it's possible or not, do you know that your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a lie and the truth? So it's going to start believing that's your intention, and you're going to move in the right direction. And so let's look at this. Your chronological age. See, that's the number of years you've been alive, but your biological age is based on a number of factors, including your diet, your lifestyle, your exercise, and your chromosomes. In fact, do you know that simple dietary changes, adopting a plant-based lifestyle, right? Lifestyle changes, including improved sleep, taking your probiotics, exercising, all of that can reduce signs of your biological age by 3 years in just 8 weeks, okay? Because the body continues to renew itself. And so now let's look real quick at what's available for you with our new Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. Let's look and see what's already available. First of all, we did this in 3 phases. Some of you are right now with us already. Some of you are in phase 1. Some of you are in phase 2. In phase 1, it pretty much will allow you to eat anything on that grocery list, okay, that goes for your blood type. So just look at the foods for your blood type, whether it's meat, whether it's grain, as long as it's for your blood type, you remain in what we call phase 1. Is that my computer? Something's whistling. Do you guys hear that?
No, we don't hear any whistling.
Oh, okay. So let me just go back. I heard something whistling. I thought my computer was maybe overworking.
Now that wouldn't be a shock.
Well, I have so many apps up, so I was wondering. But so phase 2 is where you actually go on a plant-based program with us for 21 days in November and 21 days in December. Now, obviously November, we're already here at the 15th. So you can do that as long as you can to complete the month. So even if you do just 7 days, it's really just putting your body in a better frame of mind. Your body's going to have so much more energy, and you're going to start to see weight come off. And so that's our phase 2, where you're doing 21 days of plant-based in November and December. And then phase 3 is our plant-based intensive detox. Now, some of you might start this in 2021, but most of us are going to start this on January the 2nd. So that gives you a way to progress to the next level without having to jump in all the way with both feet. And so let's look at the grocery list. So once you commit to those 21 days, at least for sure in December, and that gives you the option still of having that holiday meal with your family, but hopefully you take some of these lessons and you make it a neutral meal so that everyone can thrive on these holidays that we're celebrating. And so with that, we're going to have a grocery list that's already available on the website. So you can go right to flatbellylifestyle.com. It's going to tell you phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's going to let you know based on your blood type, here's some different rules that work better for you. It's going to go through proteins. It's going to go through your vegetables and your right carbohydrates. And if any food should be avoided by your blood type, you're going to see where it's going to say, hey, if you're a type A, if you're a type B or AB, avoid crab. Okay, if you're an O, guess what? And you're in phase 1, you can eat crab. So we wanted to make it something that's family friendly so that you can go look for the ones that aren't having any. If you don't see any red, it means it's neutral for every blood type, okay? So the good news, there's delicious meals that we can, in fact, turkey is neutral for every blood type, but you wanna get turkey that's a grass-fed turkey, okay? You wanna get turkey that doesn't have antibiotics. So go get the healthiest turkey that you can find so that you get nutrients and not harm when you have that turkey, okay? And so go through the list after you download it. Again, you're gonna find what foods work for your entire family so that you can just jump right in, start preparing your meals. You're gonna see the oils and fats, and even for those in phase 1, what we wanted to do, because I know a lot of people are snackers, so we even put together a snack list, okay, where you actually will have some items that you can snack on. It's not on this, what I'm showing tonight, but just know it's in the book, so just go ahead and get our little grocery guideline, sort of kind of a mini little book and guide for you. It's also gonna give you some rules regarding dairy. It's gonna talk also about rice and just give you some other important things that you should know. And so make sure you go get that. In fact, some of the guidelines that I'll share with you that Eric provided, you know, really you want to focus on raw foods. So just make sure that every time you wake up, you're thinking about what type of foods can I have today that's going to promote healing. And we know that raw food has the most healing energy. So you want to always put that at the top of your list. Your steamed vegetables come next. Your raw nutritional juices are important too. But again, with that, you're going to have a certain amount of vegetable juices. Don't want to really focus a lot on the fruit because that's going to contribute to a lot of weight gain. So you want to look at specific fruit that work better for you and know if you're a type O and you're doing a lot of juicing, guess what? You can see what can happen, right? It can contribute to weight gain. So stick with the vegetables, right? Vegetable juices and things of that nature are some of the fruit juices that are approved on the program. I know you can juice a little bit of apple, and there are other fruits on our list as well that you can juice. Focus on non-GMO and organic. Focused on your plant-based meats. And so those are some of the guidelines to help you kick off this in such a good way. And so let's talk about supplements, because right now we have 3 supplements available. Now, one of the supplements is our bitters. That's going to help you kick off a 4-day intensive detox to really help get your body in order, okay? We also have our flat belly gummies because these are going to help curb your appetite. It's going to help with fat burning. It's going to help to get your mindset where you're not craving food all day long. And then we have a healthy coffee. Now, when it comes to coffee, type A, type B, and AB respond really well to coffee. Most coffee is really acidic, and because type O's already have all that acidicness in their stomach, when it's traditional black coffee, you should limit that or avoid it. With our coffee, we worked on a nutritional coffee that has antioxidants, so it's not so acidic. So it actually has been working for a lot of our type O's as well. They've been able to lose weight. But again, you're going to know your body and make sure you pick the right plan that works best for you. And so with that said, here's a few steps before we go into the next segment. The next segment, we're going to bring Eric Prince up so that he can just go over some of these principles. He's going to talk about the scan. We're going to have some testimonials because I know some of you have already had your scan. You got your grocery list. And now guess what? You are already losing weight because we know that the system already worked. We're just now taking it to the next level, okay? And so we want you to register at flatbellylifestyle.com. Go on there, get the details. In fact, you want to go ahead and download the new grocery guide. You want to take your blood type test. This is critical. This should be the conversation you're having at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. You want to educate your community because we are suffering, we're dying, and we don't even know why. We don't have the answers until now, okay? You want to order your products, right? You need supplements so that you can take it to that next level. And so now let's look at some of the plans that we have in place, because obviously on January the 2nd, and that's actually should be January 2nd, 2022. Okay, so January the 2nd, 2022, we're kicking off that 7-day intensive detox. Hopefully each and every one of you will join us with that. I'm going to show you a little bit about the products that we're launching with, but over the next 18 months, we have some aggressive goals. Our goals are 1 million blood type tests that we want to see happen because of this movement. In fact, on our website, there's going to be an area that once you know your blood type, you can go to the website and you can go ahead and put in your pledge, and that becomes number 1. Number 2, until we get to 1 million, we're going to impact 1 million people over the next 18 months. We're going to get 100,000 people to come with us and to commit to plant-based for those 21 days, okay? To really help focusing on health and vitality. And if they don't want to do plant-based, they can still do phase 1, which is something many people enjoy. And then we are committed to doing 10,000 scans. Now, in order for us to do 10,000 scans, Gigi, Bernadine, Kathy, we're gonna need you, okay? Erica, Zachary, we're gonna need you. See, once you take your health to the next level, you're gonna get certified to become a coach. And as a coach, we're gonna set up these type of programs in your city. So can you imagine we have 10 cities out there getting it done over the course of a year? Do you think that each major city can have 1,000 people scanned? See, that's how we get to that 10,000. That's how we start a movement, and that's how we absolutely change the world. And so let's look at those 3 products that we're going to allow you to get on your own website, okay? And that's going to start for some of you in just about another 7 days. You're going to be able to pre-order that, and it's going to be shipping out, I believe, in about 10 days. But for most people, we really want to push them towards January the 2nd. And these are just a little bit of the 3 products. One of them is a liquid colonic, and that's not even spelled right? So we're gonna let Eric talk about our liquid colonic tea, which is absolutely amazing. Our mucus buster, which is something we all need, right? To get that mucus out, to get those parasites out. And then we have a proprietary blend of superfoods like ashwagandha and other amazing superfoods to really nourish and heal our cells. So all of these products are launching for our 7-day intense detox. Now, some of you might have to take it to 21 days based on the results of your scan. So I'm going to recap again your 4 steps. Hopefully you have those 4 steps down pat. And now what I want to do is I want to reach out real quick to see if Eric Prince has made it to the Zoom. Eric, are you out there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. So good to see you.
Hey, testing 1, 2. How's everyone doing out there?
Awesome.
Great, great. So
Amazing.
yeah, I know we got not as many people because it's on a Monday, so I think Sunday is a lot better for people.
Oh, Eric, and just so you'll know too, we actually have a dual Zoom at the same time, so we have another probably 70 people on that other Zoom. So we would
got you on the training. Y'all got the training.
For our cafe right now. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, so I guess just getting back to Sunday, when everybody can be on, I guess that'll be best for us. But hey, for the people who are on here, I just want to say good evening to you guys. I think I want to first congratulate Melissa and let's show our appreciation for the information that she's gave you, because up until maybe literally less than 3 weeks ago, a lot of this stuff you weren't even aware of. A lot of this we weren't aware of. So So it's almost like this is new information, but it's not new. This is something that's been around, been going on for a long time. It's just that we have not been aware of it. And because we have not been aware, you know the saying, they say, what you don't know can't hurt you. No, that's not true. What we didn't know has been taking us out of here. And so this information is information that now we need to learn, understand, and bring into our family, bring into our awareness, and start doing something, because we can't count on the politicians to change the world. We can't count on the presidents. We can't count on any. We have to do this ourselves. This is about us making a move to change the world, because we're watching our loved ones go down the drain and we're not able to help them. I think that's the worst feeling in the world, to watch your loved ones go down the drain and you can't help them. And then the sad part about it is that in the back of your mind, you kind of feel like that's your fate as well. And I think it's like an elephant in the room. We don't talk about it, but we got to talk about this, because this is happening all around us. We become numb to death because we see it so much around us. It's so common. We just kind of, don't talk about it. But we need to talk about it, because there's a way to stop it now. There's a way to stop it, to reverse it, and to live a life, a quality of life that the scripture speaks of. And so what is this all about? This is what we got to ask ourselves. Why are we doing this? Why is Melissa introducing this blood type? Why did I come along? Why? That's the first question is asked. Why now? Why not a decade ago? Why not our grandmothers and grandfathers? What would that have done for us if they knew this information now? Would they still be with us? Back in the day when we were living up to 600 and 700 years, you remember that? If we go back to the beginning of scripture, man was living up to 968 years. Oldest recorded is Methuselah. That's a long time. But back then, that wasn't really a long time for them. That was just life. That was normal to live past 100. And to top it off, they was having children at 200 and 300. So obviously things were still working. Women were still having menstrual cycles past 100. Men were still functioning well after 100. So what is this reality that we're dealing with right now that's causing us not to have that same experience that our ancestors had back in the day when we were living hundreds of years in one fell swoop? Now we're barely living up to 45, 50 without having to be on medication, without having ailments and issues, not being able to run, jump, especially going into menopause. Men, going into libido drops in their libido. And if you're 100 years old and you don't have a libido, then you're not about to make any children, let alone 200, let alone 300. So the question is, what is this all about? This is about man's return to his original diet. This is about man's return to his original diet, because in the beginning, we were living up to 900 years because of how we were eating. Yes, it was what we were eating in the beginning, which is what God had originally set up for man. It was a diet that was conducive for long life, not living decades, living centuries. This was a diet conducive for long life. But all of a sudden we look around and we're not living that long. We're barely making it to 60, 70, 80 without ailments. If we can live up to 60 without any health conditions, that's a miracle. If we make it to 100, everybody's cheering. But for some reason, we're not there. And like Melissa said, we're dealing with a lot of premature death. So what are we doing about it? Me joining with Wakana in order to share this information with you, to create new habits. The first one is, one, identifying your blood type. Why is blood type so important? Because in the beginning, we were all eating a certain way. Man was eating his fruits, he was eating his vegetables, he was eating his nuts and seeds. You can subsist on this diet for hundreds of years because it made our body more alkaline. We weren't eating a lot of acidic food back then. It wasn't until the wickedness of man that caused God to repent that he made man. And when he repented that he made man, that's when he brought the flood upon the earth. But it was circumstantial. In the beginning, God had never intended for man to consume animal protein. It was not in the beginning, which is why we were able to live hundreds of years. Think about it. The evidence is right there in the book. God said, of all the trees in the garden, it says, to the fruit yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. So our fruits and vegetables was our original meat. And it said that. It says that in first book of Genesis 28, 29, 30. It says, to you, these fruits, these vegetables, these green herbs shall be your meat. So our original meat was our fruits and vegetables. It wasn't until after the great flood, until now, man was looking at animal on his dinner table. But after that, now God said, as I have given you green herbs, as I have given you the fruits from the trees yielding seed, now I give you flesh, which is now on the table. Now we have animal on the table because of the consequences of man's wickedness. God had to purge and flush the world, save one family, quote unquote. So now we have meat on the table. Now, what does that mean for our body? It means that now we're going to be dealing with having to break down a more dense, a more toxic substance. And when I mean toxic, I don't mean just the food, because back then they weren't dealing with a lot of factories. But animals also experience emotions, just like humans experience emotions. So when an animal knows that they're about to be eaten, there's a certain stress response that even they have that will cause their body to have certain biochemical changes. And those emotions, those hormones are also what we will consume when we actually consume that animal. Case in point, mad cow disease. So the fact is that after the great flood, animal was on the table. But before that, man was eating his fruits and vegetables and he was living much longer. But when animal came on the table and the man's lifespan started to decline and started to drop, then that was because we were now dealing with having to break down a more denser protein that the body was not designed to break down. But even in that sense, we had to adapt. We adapted to the situation. Now we had animal on the table, because if you think about it, if water covered the earth, that destroys all vegetation, which means that man, all he had left on at that time was consuming animal flesh. So it was more circumstantial than permanent. It was not meant to be a permanent situation on this planet where we were consuming animals, because we weren't designed to eat animals. The animals that are true carnivores or true omnivores. So it's either omnivore or carnivores. Omnivores and carnivores eat other animals. They eat flesh, maybe even human flesh. But herbivores are not designed to consume flesh. And human beings are designed as herbivores, which means that we have all the characteristics of an herbivore: teeth, the way we chew, circular motion, the long gastrointestinal tract, as opposed to a short gastrointestinal tract. A carnivore has a shorter digestive tract, which means it less time in the transport throughout the body. We have a long gastrointestinal tract, and if you unravel it, it's about a fourth of a football field, which means it takes a long time for me to travel through that. But in the process, it's damaging the intestinal lining, and it's actually causing corrosion, and sometimes may even cause colon cancer, depending on what's going on in your body. So that's why it's important, because man is returning to his original diet. And one thing I know is that based upon everything that I'm seeing, I want to give some ideas of what I'm looking at on the scans. I'm not going to give any names, but some of the things that I'm seeing as I'm scanning people is not much different than what I was seeing 10 years ago, but what I'm seeing is the evidence of the diet being destructive to our health. I'm seeing it. So this isn't theory. We're not just talking about this from a book. I know this from my experience and from what I'm seeing over and over as we scan people. I'm seeing people with a liver that is no longer cleaning the blood. I'm seeing a fatty liver. I'm also seeing kidneys that are saturated with uric acid and also with protein. Why is it saturated with protein? Because we're no longer breaking down protein in our bodies. So if you don't break down the protein in your body, then your kidneys have to try to filter it out. What you think that's doing to the kidneys is damaging the filtration system and is sending us to dialysis. So that's why all the dialysis are popping up all over the community, because we're overdosing on animal protein. Not only that, but I'm seeing major vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So this is on top of the liver, the fatty liver. This is on top of the clogged kidneys. And those are the two main filters in your body that needs to be clear in order for the body to function properly. So obviously, if we have a liver that's clogged up with fatty deposits, fatty material, then that liver is not going to be able to clean the blood, which leads to plaque buildup on the arteries. When plaque builds up on the arteries, of course, that closes off the space in which the blood flow. That can lead to a heart attack. It can lead to a stroke. It can lead to prostate issues. It can lead to fertility issues. It can lead to high blood pressure. Come on, I can name everything that we're dealing with based upon what's going on in our body. So what is the scan doing? It's giving us information that we never had before. It's telling us things that was never shown to us, so that now through the power of intent, we can begin to focus directly on those things that are affecting our body negatively, that's preventing us from healing ourselves. Your body was designed to heal itself, but unfortunately, we're looking at some obstacles to that healing process. And so until we address those obstacles, our body's going to continue to degenerate. That's what we call aging, the degeneration process. Why are we degenerating? Well, because of what we're putting in our body. The stuff that we're putting in our body is blocking our organs. It's creating more of an acidic environment. And obviously, if disease cannot survive in an alkaline body, but yet thrives in an acidic body, then that explains why we're dealing with so much premature death in the Black community, because we all have an acidic body based upon the diet that we grew up eating. So meat is causing the body to become more acidic. That's leading to every itis in your body: hepatitis, pancreatitis, nephritis, pericarditis. I can name all the itises. Arthritis, yep. Those achy joints, that pain in the joints, it's nothing but inflammation due to excessive animal production and protein in the system. So what are we doing? Our goal now is to, one, learn about our blood type, learn about which foods are compatible with our body and which foods are not, because you're going to find out that there are some meats that are compatible. But as a vegan and as a blood type O, I still advocate consuming plant-based protein. One, because we were designed to eat plant-based protein. We weren't designed to eat animal-based protein. And the only reason we are eating animal-based protein is because of the circumstances that led up to the flood. So in other words, if the wickedness of man was not a part of the creation, it was a consequence once man was created, that now he became so wicked to the point where God had to destroy the earth and save one family. So now that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with returning back to our original diet, getting our health back. And also on the scan, I am seeing definitely a lot of prostate issues with our brothers. The prostate, what they call it, prostatitis, which is inflammation in the prostate. It's the same thing. It's just your prostate is being used as a dump site. So that leads to prostate issues, low libido, also urination problems. And with women, fibroids. Fibroids is also a byproduct of what? A fatty liver. If you have a fatty liver, you're dealing with fibroids. If you're dealing with fibroids, you have a fatty liver. If you're dealing with diabetes, you have inflammation in the pancreas. The pancreas was not meant to be a dump site. The prostate was not meant to be a dump site. The liver was not meant to be clogged up. The kidneys were not meant to be clogged up. You have to clean these organs out. This was not something that was taught to us by our medical doctors, by our mothers, our fathers. This is new. This is new on the earth, but it's old because God has always used this process to draw his people closer to him. Remember when he came out of Egypt, when he brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, he couldn't take them straight into the promised land, could he? No. He took them into the wilderness. He took them into the wilderness. Why did he take them into the wilderness? Because they would pollute the promised land. So he had to detoxify their bodies. He had to detoxify their minds, their emotions, their thoughts, their body, their spirit, because they spent a long time in Egypt, and all the gods and that they were serving over there, all the different foods they were eating over in Egypt, he had to clean them out. He couldn't just let them go straight into the promised land, else they would took that same mentality, all them poisons into the promised land, and they would have polluted the promised land. So what did he do? He took them into the wilderness to detoxify their bodies. Yep. God took the children of Israel into the wilderness to detoxify their bodies, but they had so much baggage, and you know what I mean by baggage. We all got a little extra baggage going on. They had so much baggage that they had a hard time cleaning and clearing their system out, to the point where the people 20 years and older didn't even make it into the promised land because they couldn't make the cut. And if you think about it, if you go back to Numbers chapter 11, that's the evidence that they were detoxing, was that they asked a question. They said, "We're tired of eating this manna," which was a superfood that was from heaven. This was superfood from heaven. Manna was superfood. They got tired of eating the superfood, and they asked a question. They said, "Who shall give us flesh to eat?" Numbers chapter 11, go back and read it. Who shall give us flesh? They wanted meat, not fruits and vegetables. They wanted animal flesh. But God was trying to detoxify them, because that's the only way he can draw you closer, is to flush out all of the toxins and waste out of your system, so that your vibration, your energy, can be on a higher frequency. Because the higher the frequency, the higher your level of consciousness, the more you're in tune with God. It's the reason why Moses didn't eat for 40 days and 40 nights, and Moses talked to God face to face. When he came down off the mountain, his face was so bright they couldn't even look upon him, because his vibrations were so high. That's what the food do. When you eat alkaline food, it raises your vibrations. It raises your frequency. What does that mean? Disease has a frequency. In fact, I think the frequency is something like 58 megahertz. We'll talk about that at a later date, because that's a whole other science. 58, when your body drops to a frequency below 58 megahertz, you now have opened the door to any and all diseases. The question is, well, how did it drop? What we're eating, not just with our mouth, but what we're eating with our mind. It lowers our frequency. Anger, frustration, irritation, all these negative emotions, unforgiveness, resentment, all these negative emotions actually lowers your frequency, and it causes you to express the lower aspect of your genes, which is disease. So if you want to shut down the lower aspect and activate the higher aspect, you have to learn to forgive. You have to learn to let go of some of these negative emotions, because it's the anger that's stored in our liver. So if anger is stored in our liver, you can think back on some of the times you've been angry. The question is, have you ever controlled your anger? If you've never controlled your anger and you didn't know your blood type, then heck, you might have wound up eating all the bad food that normally you wouldn't or shouldn't have been eating, based upon the anger that you're having. So now, on top of the negative emotions, you're eating the bad food, and that's how we manifest the conditions that we're dealing with now in our body. So it's important now that we start to eat more clean. So there are going to be some foods on your list that that may seem a little questionable, but I would recommend doing the vegan challenge, just trying to, figure out how life would be if I wasn't eating animal protein. Try it, because here's the thing. The inevitable will of God is that man returns to his original diet. If we don't roll with it, we'll be crushed by it. There's no way to stop this. Even in, I think it's Isaiah chapter 65, it talks about a time where there will be no hurt or harm on all of God's holy mountain. It says the wolf and the lamb shall feed together, not on each other. So what is it talking about? It's giving a prophetic prophecy about how man is going to return to his diet. God is going to finish setting up things on the planet, this kingdom on the planet. And yes, we're going to actually be able to live much longer than 65 years old, actually much longer than 120. But we're going to be living young, not old. So the whole concept of reversing your biological age, not your chronological age, because chronological time just keeps on going, but your biological age is what we're working on. We're working on reversing it and repairing the damage that's been done to our body based upon ignorance. Ignorance, not ignorant in a bad way, but ignorance is not knowing. We just didn't know. But now we have more information, so it would be irresponsible for us to continue doing things the way our parents did, knowing that they didn't have the information we had. They didn't have the computers, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have social media, they didn't have none of that. But we have that now. So we can't continue doing the same thing as our parents did because we have more information. So now we have to go in and we have to help our parents, as I did my mom. My mom taught me how to eat. I turned around and I had to teach her how to eat. It's where the child became the parent and the parent became the child. And guess what? Because of this, she's here today with me. She'll be 80 next year. She worked out this week more than I did. I'm a little embarrassed to say, but she hit the gym 3 times this week. She'll be 80 next year, and I think I've only gone once, and that was on Sunday. But I'll add Tuesday and Thursday in there after I finish with you guys down in Wakana. But yeah, so I just wanted to touch base with you guys, just let you know what I'm seeing on the scan. And this is something that's been going on in the community. This is a pattern. This is the pattern of disease pathology. And so once you know the pattern, once you know the origins of the pattern, you can reverse it. That's it. We just never knew the origins because it was never explained to us, never talked to us about it. Nobody sat down with us for 1 hour and told us about every part of our body, from our brain to our heart, to our liver, to our kidneys. No one's ever told us about what was going on in our body at the subatomic level. Now we have the opportunity to do something that never been done in our family and to give ourselves the better chance of extending a long life, longevity that we never had access to. We have access to that now. So I will say that the 3 products that we're going to start off with, if you are a little nervous about doing a 3-week process, yeah, try the 7 days, because at least 7 days when you detox, you will feel better. You will see a significant amount of weight loss, anywhere from 8 to 12 pounds, depending on how far you are away from your body mass index. But ultimately, what I'm seeing on the scans is that most people need to be cleansing for about 3 weeks, because that liver, that fatty liver, is no longer it's in the red now with a lot of people, which means that it's at its limit. And instead of us trying to remove the liver or do a liver transplant, we need to fix and repair the liver that we have. We need to fix and repair the kidneys that we have. We don't need to take ours out and put somebody else's in there, because now you have to take, of course, immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of your life to keep your body from attacking that liver of someone else and that kidney of someone else. So let's try to maintain the health we have, restore our health that we have right now. And this is how we do it. So with the longevity nutrition, that's going to correct all vitamin and mineral deficiencies. With the parasite mucus buster, that's going to clear out any mucus, any parasites in your system, and it's going to promote absorption, because that's another thing that I'm seeing. I'm seeing malabsorption. What does that mean? That means that the mucus in your body is hindering the nutrients from getting into your bloodstream. So if you're taking a one a day, if you're taking vitamins every day, but yet you have mucus in your system, then you're wasting your money. The vitamins are not getting into your bloodstream as they should. They're just coming out in your stool. So you got to clear the mucus out. If you're a meat eater, you're probably dealing with some parasites. So you got to get the parasites out. Also, most of us are dealing with constipation because of the animal flesh. So you got to clean and clear out the whole gastrointestinal tract, which is your main sewer system, in order for the other organs to begin to release their waste. So as soon as your gastrointestinal tract is clear, it sends a signal to all of your organs to release their stored waste. So if there's waste in the liver, release it. Kidneys, release it. Pancreas, release it. And that starts the process of reversing diabetes. In the liver, that starts the process of dropping your blood pressure, because the blood pressure is up because of that fatty liver. Even the fibroids start shrinking once you start clearing the liver out. So there are certain things, prerequisites to your body's natural healing process. And this is how we go about doing it, step by step, phase by phase, because it's a wonderful life. I've been living a vegan lifestyle for over 10 years now, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And don't get me wrong, I grew up loving chicken, beef, pork, turkey, chitlins. I know a lot of people don't like chitlins, the smell of it, but I love chitlins. But yeah, I love stuff that was dead. And I don't know if you guys, you remember scripture that says, God is not the God of the dead. He is the God of the living. God is love. So we can't love something dead, because God is not the God of the dead. He's the God of the living. So we have to love life. When you eat live food, that's life, because that gives you life. If you eat live food, it keeps you alive. If you eat dead food, well, you know how that goes. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free right now to ask. I'm here for a few minutes.
Wow, thank you, Eric, so much. Just so much knowledge and so much what we call encouragement, right? Because you hear what we need to eat, but then there's life on the other side, a vibrant life. And we can be like you, we can be 52 and running against 20-year-olds and beating them. Okay, that's what we all want. Holding world records. Okay, that's what we want. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So we got a few minutes for questions. We do have another webinar coming up at 7:30. So we're going to need to wrap this up real quick tonight, guys. So thank you guys for adjusting and pivoting with us. Sunday just did not work out. So we're happy that you guys were able to join us today. We will be back on Sunday next week. So join us on Sunday. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? This is Carol from Texas.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, sweetie. I have a goddaughter who is on dialysis now.
Mm-hmm.
Program turned that around. She's in dire need of a kidney. Now, can it turn it around?
How young is she?
42.
42, okay. How long has she been on dialysis?
February will be her 3rd year.
Gotcha. So there are testimonies of people who have come off dialysis. So yes, you can come off dialysis. It's gonna be based upon the will of the person that's on dialysis, because we want more for people than they want for themselves. So she has to have the desire to want to heal her kidneys and come off, and she has to believe that it's possible. Right. Because with unbelief, even Jesus could do no mighty works.
That's true.
So if she believes it's possible, it can. Now I've helped people come off dialysis. I helped a medical doctor come off dialysis. She works, I'm not gonna give her name, but she works up at Christ Hospital, and she's over many doctors. Mm-hmm. But she didn't trust her colleagues to help heal her body. So her sisters, who I had been working with, brought her over to me to sit down. And when they brought her over to me, of course, she was in a walker, the walker with the wheels on the front, Mm-hmm. And so, but she was only 36. So that was way out of context. But the bottom line is that she needed hip replacement. She had lupus. She was on dialysis, and it wasn't so much because she was very lean. It wasn't so much about what she was eating. It was more about her upbringing and her emotional imbalance. with her sisters growing up. And I believe that's what manifested a lot of that, because obviously she went on to pursue her dreams. There was probably a lot of animosity, envy throughout that family. And what did it lead to? It led to all these things that she was experiencing. And so once I started working with her and cleansing and detoxifying her body, her urine output got better. Once her urine output got better, she left the center dialysis and she went to home dialysis.
That's what she's doing now. It's home dialysis.
So that's the key. With home dialysis, you can regulate things a little bit better. When you're at the center, it's hard to regulate it, but you can actually gradually wean yourself when you're on home dialysis off, because you're under control of that. But once again, you're gonna have to flush and clean out the body. You're gonna have to clean out the kidneys. People who are on dialysis never got an option to do something holistic, and you'll never get an option in this healthcare system to go holistic, because the system is not designed to heal the body. Even though it's called healthcare, the root word of healthcare is what? Heal. The system is not healing the body. So that's a distortion right there. The fact that we think that this healthcare system is actually healing our body. So I think that at some point, once we gain enough power, we have to change the name of this system from healthcare to crisis care. If we change it to crisis care, people will now understand the true purpose of the system, and they won't keep using it to heal their body. They'll understand it's only meant to work and relieve your crisis and stabilize you. And then you go somewhere to address it holistically so that your body can heal. See, we've been given a system that didn't have a part 2. We need a part 2, which is now investigating the underlying cause. Yeah, there may be some emergency or crisis in the beginning, but once you stabilize it, then go and investigate what's causing it. And that's what we didn't have. So that's what we have to do. We have to go back and we have to create a team and a support around people on dialysis, people needing liver transplant, and we have to show them a better way of dealing with that issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
thank you. Mr. Prince, this is Erica Padmore. I will be giving you a call. Kathy Weathersby gave me your number. If you hopefully didn't mind. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Okay.
And about 2 years ago now. So I'll be giving you a call soon. Just want to let you know.
Have you been doing anything for it? Did they put you on chemo and all that stuff?
No, I didn't want to do that. I didn't do chemo, radiation, or surgery at all.
Well, good. I have testimonies of women who actually beat breast cancer without chemo and radiation. So chemo and radiation is actually, it's the worst way to treat it. And I'm gonna stand boldly on that, because they don't talk about the statistics when it comes to chemo and radiation. People don't die from cancer. People can live with cancer for 15, 20 years. It's not until they start taking chemo until now the body starts to go into a imbalance, because the chemo weakens the immune system. And the only cure, and you got to get this, listen, the only cure to cancer is your immune system. Now you understand the only true God-given cure to cancer is your immune system. Now it makes sense why we're trying to understand blood type, because if you don't know your blood type, then you cannot preserve your immune system. Then at some point you will manifest cancer and you will not be able to fight it holistically. You get it? So what are we doing? We're closing the door to all the diseases that we thought never had a chance before. So now, once you know your blood type, now you can preserve your immune system. You can be ready for any life-threatening issues, even common cold, and you can also live at your ideal weight for the rest of your life, which is a long life at that point. So yeah, so this blood type it's not just about eating a certain way and looking good. It's about preserving the immune system so that you will never have to deal with the second leading cause of death in America, which is cancer. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I'll see you. Give me a call, okay?
I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because I was going to tell you that I do drink some alkalized water. I got a machine from Enagic, and that's been very beneficial. Yeah. But I'll give you a call. So.
Yeah, no, the alkaline water. alkaline water is a part of a whole process. So it's not enough just to drink alkaline water, because it's like putting a little water on a big fire.
Okay.
You've taken years to create this fire, this inflammation. Your body is inflamed, so therefore a little water is not going to do it. You have to revamp the whole system, because by this time the liver is clogged up, so it's not processing things the way it's supposed to. So what people have been doing with the scan is identifying the very things that their body needs, all the obstacles to your body's natural healing process. Once we remove the obstacles, the body heals itself.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And thanks, Melissa, for putting this together. I know they have to go shortly, so I don't want to keep you in questions. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We still got a few minutes. It ain't 7:30 yet.
Dr. Prince,
I
I have a
appreciate you
question.
coming on here.
All right. Is this her? Hilda?
Hilda, yes, hi. Thank you for all this great information. I appreciate it. Bless you.
Thank you.
I was diagnosed many years ago with something called pernicious anemia.
Okay.
I stopped eating meat about 11 years ago. Initially, I was doing it for cleansing. So in my thought, I was doing it for a month. I ended up enjoying how my body felt, not having a stomach ache or anything like that. So now it's been about 11 years later. I found out that I had 21, due to this pernicious anemia, I had 21 tumors in my stomach. I now have 17.
Okay.
I learned from the doctors or reading that the one thing that would probably help this would be eating meat. But the God in me is telling me not to go back, number one. Number two, if I even try something with gravy on it, or even, like the bouillon cubes, I end up vomiting. I can't take any kind of animal products at all anymore. So I'm down to 17 of these tumors. I go back, ironically, I go back tomorrow morning for another endoscopy. I go every 9 months. The last time I had 19 tumors. 2 of them had fallen into my stomach, and they removed them through my mouth. They tested them. They said they were cancer, but again, they did remove them. The other 17 that are here are in kind of a cluster of like grapes. So they can't remove only one, and my chances of survival are slim. My question to you, or my confusion, I'm reading and I'm hearing that meat is the best thing for this so-called disease that I have. However, I'm down from 21 to 17 of them just from not eating meat. And also I have given back all of my pharmaceuticals because they were causing me severe constipation, where I actually couldn't move my bowels for more than 12 days once. So I decided to go on to CBD and medical marijuana. I feel like this is what has maybe helped me, and why I'm from 21 to 17. Do you think this detox, I mean, I don't know what else to do. I'm just asking you, the professional, what you think.
No, you're asking the right question, and only a holistic professional will understand how to address that question. Because the thing about it is that your body. How young are you? You in your 30s or 40s?
I am actually 49.
Okay, so and you stopped eating meat in your 30s?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, by the time you stopped eating meat, you had already created a significant amount of damage to your body. So even though you crossed over and you stopped eating meat, now your body was about to start experiencing a whole new set of symptoms called detoxification symptoms, which can manifest as aches, pains. It can manifest as nausea, vomiting. It can manifest as tumors, clots, all of this stuff. So your body is going through a detoxification process. It took, from the time I stopped eating meat in 2004, it took me until 2010 to get meat out my system. It took 6 years, and I was on a fast track. I was cleansing and detoxifying my body and running on a regular basis. So it took 6 years to get it out of my system. And when I got to the 2010, when it was time for all the rest of the toxins to be lifted up and removed out of my body, it all happened at one time, which is called a healing crisis. And so my body, a healing crisis kind of looks like a disease crisis, but it's not a disease crisis. A healing crisis, believe it or not, is what we're looking for. We're looking for a healing crisis because that's when finally all the toxins that's been stored in your body over the past 3 decades is now about to come out of your system. But in order for it to do that, your body has to be at a certain vitality, which means your body has to have the right amount of energy to be able to throw off the rest of those toxins. Now, the reason it happened to me was because that was the year I won. That was 2010. That was the year I won the national championship in the 400 meters. So my energy was at its peak, and my body said, okay, now that your energy is at its peak, let's get rid of the rest of these toxins. So the fact that I was running and competing, it sped up my detoxification process until that healing crisis showed up. When that healing crisis showed up, I had eczema all over my body, head to toe. I had hives head to toe. So I literally was walking around looking like the Elephant Man. Because guess what? My body was releasing the rest of those toxins through my skin. So the toxins were trying to come out my body. Just like in your gut, these tumors are forming. These are encapsulated waste particles that your body is trying to keep out of your bloodstream, because it would be more damage if it gets into your bloodstream than if they just encapsulate it into a tumor. Just like the fibroids, if they encapsulate that estrogen into the tumor, it protects your body from getting into your blood, from toxic blood. A lot of things that's going on in the body, even cancer, is not necessarily to hurt us. It's actually here to protect us. And so what your body does need, you need to cleanse and detoxify your body, and you need to do it on a regular basis. So this isn't something you do once. This is something from this point on, you cleanse every year, sometimes twice a year, until your body is back in a state where it's dissolving every last one of those tumors that's down there, and to the point where they won't even exist anymore. They can't exist. It's impossible for these to exist when your body is at a high frequency and a high vibration, because even the tumors are energy. Everything that moves, or even everything that don't move, has a frequency, and your body has a frequency. And so when you eat the certain foods and you clean your system out, you start to vibrate on a higher frequency that starts to dissolve and diminish the frequency of tumors. And it's not just the food or the substance, it's the energy that's starting to dissolve it and break it down.
Thank you so much. So perhaps because I found out that I am also severely B12 deficient. So I found out last week that I guess I should be around 400, and I'm at negative 300. So they want me to go on injections for 10 days.
Well, you don't. Well, you don't. One thing I will say is you don't have to go back to eating meat. I'm a vegan, so therefore, some of the B vitamins that I would normally get from meat, I just have to supplement. That's all. You just have to learn how to supplement your B12, B3, B6. You don't need to go back to consuming meat. If that was the case, you wouldn't have people out here performing at their peak that no longer eats meat. You know, we thought as men that it was manly to eat meat, but it turns out that it's just the opposite. Men are having libido problems because of their long-term meat consumption. And when they come to me because guess what? They can't get it up. Sorry, I had to say that, but they can't get it up. They can't get it up because they've been eating meat all their life, and then meat is causing the arteries to shorten and small, and they're no longer getting any blood flow down there, ladies. So therefore, they're having problems. So they got to turn to all these different supplements to try to, but the supplements are making it worse. They need to flush their system out, open up their vascular system and their circulation so that the libido can come back. But it's the meat that's taking it away. And so when they come to me with the libido issue, the ED issue, I take them off the meat for 3 weeks. And guess what? Now they're performing like they're Superman within the second week. So it don't take long to heal a body. You just have to understand what's going on in the body. So now meat is not the way for men. It's not the way for women. It's only an addiction. That is all it is.
Okay, thank you. I figured that. I felt my best since I stopped eating meat. I really have. And I did go through, like you say, the eczema and the, skin looking different and things like that. Now I am, physically, I guess when you look on a road to health, but inside I was just a little concerned. Even though these tumors are going away, I've gone from 21 to 17. I just wanted to make sure I'm doing the right thing. I don't want to go back.
Where do you live?
I live in Boston.
Boston, okay. So send me your information, so you probably need to start the 3 week before January come around. And then I would even say in January, do the 7-day in order to really put your body on fast track. And you'll see not only any weight come off, but you'll see all of that stuff clear up itself in no time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wow, that's some good information, Mr. Eric.
It looks like we're going to be in Atlanta, perhaps. I know, Eric, we have to discuss, but maybe on December 3rd, there's an opportunity so we can do scans. So that's the other suggestion too. If you're in a city where we're going to be, get your scan so that Eric can actually give you more details based on what the scan is reading. And also, like he said, get your blood type, because that's going to make a big difference also.
Oh, awesome. So we'll find out more detail about Atlanta, Melissa?
Yes. We'll have that announced once we get everything confirmed.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, Eric, that was wonderful. I can give up my days of being a cougar since you're helping those.
Yep, you will. The brothers are gonna be Superman again. I'm telling you, once they get back and they realize, cause see, as an athlete, I'm 52, but my I guess I shouldn't be talking about this, but the reason I run in track and field, the reason I compete at the college level is because the energy is inexhaustible. And so I channel that energy into a sport that actually gives me the ability to perform and to actually realize my potential. And so that's what, a lot of people can do once that energy comes back, because it will, especially with the cleanse, 7-day, 3-way, you're going to notice that you have extra energy that you may not have had before, because your body was just fatigued because it's been laboring to try to clean up all the waste, and it's falling behind because guess what? Every day you're still putting more waste in it. So your body is trying to throw off, but it's only throwing off a percentage of some of the toxins every day. And the next day you get another load of toxicity in the body, and it only throws off another percentage. So it's not even throwing off all the toxins every day, which means your body is storing all that waste in fat tissue. It's dumping it into the organ systems. It's clogging up your gastrointestinal tract. And we're running to the medical doctor so that he can treat the alarms for this underlying condition. That's why it never goes away. So we now have the opportunity to treat our body the right way, and we have our health back in our own hands.
And let's get one question in before we have to conclude, because there's another webinar coming up. Actually, we're a little late, but there was a question about lemon water, and I read that for type A, I should have hot lemon water every morning because of the. What are your thoughts? They said about hot, warm lemon water daily.
Well, you know what? That's one way to make alkaline water, but I guess it all depends on what water you're using. If you're using tap water to make it, then yeah, you might be dealing with some chemicals in there. So that lemon may get dissolved or diluted in that tap water. If you're using filtered water, bottled water, that's another way to make it. But here's the problem. Once again, you're putting a little water on a big fire. So just squeezing 100 lemons, a week is not going to help you. You have to deal with the whole infrastructure in your body, because it's kind of like my body stays alkaline. And if I eat something acidic, it may drop acidic for a second, but it goes back alkaline. If a person's body is chronically acidic, they may drink something alkaline for a moment, their body becomes alkaline, but then it goes back acidic. You understand what I'm saying? you have to clean up the whole infrastructure so that you can start to become more alkaline on a regular basis instead of more acidic. The diets we grew up on has kept us so acidic that our body is laboring, trying to clean it up and try to keep that pH up at the cost of leaching calcium out of our bones. And that's why we're developing osteoporosis, because the more acidic your body is, the more you're going to leach calcium out of your bones. See, we thought that osteoporosis was based upon just aging. No, it's based upon calcium leaching due to an acidic pH. Your body believes in life over limb. It'll save your life, but you'll lose a limb. Okay.
Y'all hear that? Now you just dropped something there. I tell you what, this has been powerful, but we're out of time. But here's what I want to announce. Eric will be doing live scans on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you have to make an appointment. If you don't make an appointment, you might have to wait 2 to 3 hours. So we want to disclose that. So we do have people that are traveling from out of town. And so we've been very careful to make sure we honor the times they're here. Some of them are flying in the morning, they're leaving in the evening. And so please, it's critical that if you want to get a live scan, just send the email in to melissa@wakana.com. And what we'll do is we'll look at times that you have available. We'll match that with what's open, and we'll make sure we get you in so that you don't have to wait hours to get your scan. And then when we hit Atlanta, we're probably gonna have to hit it for a couple of days to get all the scans done, okay? Because I know everybody's gonna wanna get a scan in Atlanta. So we're gonna make it do what it do. And the scan right now, as long as you do it as a part of the program, you're going to actually just be able to now get your supplements that come with it. So we're not necessarily charging for the scan. It's just more, you're going to want the supplements and things of that nature. Right. So yeah, and we'll get into all that. Yeah. When he's there.
And one last thing, Melissa, the reason we're doing this is because we want to set precedents in January so that when people start to look at what we're doing, they will see that where you were before you cleanse, before you detox, and where you are afterwards. And once we set precedents, now we given the world proof that what we're doing actually will help them to heal.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Okay, so everyone, you want to be a part of that initial group. So make sure to send the emails in. If you're in Chicago, schedule your appointment. And we're going to hit Atlanta, and I'm sure Dallas and Houston and Massachusetts, it sounds like. So we're going to be busy here.
Yes,
so get ready.
Dallas is on the list. Got to be on the list, okay?
Melissa, Boston, going back to Boston.
Hey,
Tell them.
Hey, I was just in Albany, New York, and it was 2 hours
South
from Boston.
Carolina.
South Carolina, yes.
South Carolina is one of the fattest
Dallas, the
states in
Big
the
D,
union.
the Longhorn State.
Okay, well,
Yes,
Sir, can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry. I was just curious to know, how much are the supplements costing? Is there a bundle packet for those three?
Yeah, we actually are still working on that. Me and Melissa were actually supposed to finalize that this week. So by the end of the week, we'll have prices and everything and pretty pictures on the site, and we can go from there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Thanks,
And
everyone.
will this video go up online shortly, Melissa?
Oh, I'm sure Dr. Roz will get it there. She's that tech guru who does all that. So I'll text her.
Fantastic.
Okay. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, thank you guys. We just appreciate you all, and we'll hear you next Sunday, okay?
All right. You guys have a good night. God bless you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank
Oh,
you, Dr.
thank
Prince.
you. God bless.
God bless.
God bless you.